Namaste everyone and welcome back to my channel Sapna's Yoga Diary. In this video we are going to cover the second topic of YCB Yoga Wellness Instructors syllabus. The second topic is Yogic Shatkarma. So this is what we are going to cover in this video. Without any delay, let's start the video. Yogic Shatkarma. Shatkarma. What is Shatkarma? Shat means 6. Karma here refers to the yogic kriyas. What kind of yogic kriyas? Cleansing practices, cleansing kriyas. So in Hatha Yoga, in Shatkarma, there are 6 practices, 6 kind of practices which are dedicated for the purification of the physical body. Though they are physical practices, but their effect is more than physical. It goes deeper. So out of the 6 kind of practices, the three kind of practices which are there in the syllabus is Neti, Dhoti and Kapalbhati. So in Neti there are Sutra Neti and Jal Neti which is there in the syllabus. In Dhoti only Vaman Dhoti is there in syllabus, and in Kapalbhati Shatkarma. So let's go in the reverse order. Let's start with Kapalbhati. So I have already made a video on Kapalbhati where I have included its demonstration, do's and don'ts, contraindication and some benefits also, and what Kapalbhati means. Everything has been covered in that video. So I request you to go through that video. It will brief you on Kapalbhati. It will prepare you for Kapalbhati. And I have covered Shatkarma only, so it's directly linked with the syllabus. Now the part which is not covered in that video, that is what I am going to cover now. Kapalbhati. So the question may come that what is Kapalbhati? Kapalbhati is Shatkarma or Pranayam? This was asked in our panel interview to somebody else. So Kapalbhati, always remember, in Hatha Yoga, Kapalbhati is categorized as a Shatkarmic practice, as a cleansing practice, not Pranayam. They should not ask this, but in case they ask why, you can always say that Pranayam, when we talk about Pranayam, Pranayam is the regulation of prana through breath. Breath that includes at least inspiration and expiration, that is inhalation and exhalation. So when we talk about regulation of breath, there should be regulation of inhalation and regulation of exhalation. But in Kapalbhati, it is forceful exhalation. We are regulating only exhalation. Inhalation happens on its own. That is why it should not be categorized as a pranayam practice, but a cleansing practice because of its effect on the brain, because of its effect on the body. It's a cleansing. It has a cleansing effect on the body. So that's why it is considered as a Shatkarmic practice in Hatha Yoga. Other than that, everything I have covered. Let's just talk about a little bit on the benefits of Kapalbhati. What are the benefits? If you are being asked the benefits of Kapalbhati, you can say that Kapalbhati, with regular practice of Kapalbhati, phlegm related diseases can be cured. Now what is phlegm? Phlegm basically refers to the cough which is there in the respiratory tract. So phlegm related diseases is basically the respiratory related diseases like asthma. A lot of people have dust allergy, etc. So you can and then with the name Kapalbhati, Kapal means skull, Bhati means shine. So the practice which brings the shine to the skull is Kapalbhati. So with regular practice of Kapalbhati, your skull starts to shine, which reflects on your face. There is a natural glow on the face, and aging can be reversed. So that's all about Kapalbhati. Now moving on to Dhoti. In Dhoti, Vaman Dhoti is in the syllabus. So when it comes to Neti and see, Kapalbhati is very easy to understand and learn through videos. But when it comes to Neti and Dhoti, this isn't something that you should learn from videos. That is why I will not be covering the demonstration of Neti and Dhoti through my videos, because me demonstrating is not important. How you are doing it is more important for me as a teacher. So I always prefer teaching one-to-one in such kind of practices, because these are cleansing practices. It's not a joke. So you have to do it. It has a lot of important instructions, very minute details which you have to bear in mind while practicing. So I always recommend students to learn these practices under the guidance of a good teacher. So if you can find someone locally who can teach you at least Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti, that would be really good. If you want to learn from me, I also teach the Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti online. So if you want to learn through me, you can contact me. I'll schedule the class for you. So these two practices must be learned in the morning. Just remember this. If you want to learn from me, I charge 1,000 rupees for Indian residents if they want to learn Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti together. And if you are not based in India, it is only for Indian residents. If you're not from India, then in that case, I charge 2,000 rupees in Indian currency for people who are based outside. So to learn this Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti. Now, why I am recommending you to learn Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti at least, not Sutra Neti. Why? Because Sutra Neti, honestly speaking, very for Sutra Neti, people who are confident, who are very clear that I want to learn Sutra Neti. And I have taught so many students, so I know this mindset. A lot of people are scared of Sutra Neti. So if you have that fear factor, it will be an obstacle in your learning. So better avoid it. But Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti, Kunjal, these two practices are ones which can easily be learned by anyone. Even if you have fear, that can be easily, when I'm teaching, I can easily take that fear out of your head when I'm teaching, if I'm teaching Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti. This can be easily learned. But it requires regular practice. Remember this. So it has to be learned one-on-one by a teacher. And now why I'm asking you to learn at least Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti? Because see, these areas are the ones where you can easily get marks, good marks. Because when an examiner is going to ask you, they are going to ask you first thing that do you practice Shatkarma, and if yes, what kind of practice do you do? So Kapalbhati is by default, everyone would know. Not just the teachers, thanks to Baba Ramdev. He has made it so popular that majority of the people know what Kapalbhati is and how it is done. So just Kapalbhati will not give a good impression on the examiner. But these practices, Neti and Dhoti, not every yoga teacher teaches. For example, I'm telling you, one of my student, she waited for almost 4 years to find a teacher who could teach her Kunjal, that is Vaman Dhoti. So I taught her Vaman Dhoti online. So these practices are like rare practices. There are less number of teachers who have a very good command on Shatkarmic practices. So if you know these practices, you will have a very good impression on the examiner that okay, it shows that you are sincere kind of student. So do not miss to bring that impression on the examiner. So yeah, so do learn these practices if you want to easily crack this exam. And now the questions which may come related to these two practices. In Vaman Dhoti, they may ask you that, okay, Vaman Dhoti, how do you do it? How much water you use for practicing Vaman Dhoti. So it will differ from person to person how much water you are using, But on an average, you can use, you can say 2 to 3 liters of water. Sometimes I am done with 2 liters, sometimes it's 3 liters. So basically, you have to drink water up to your throat till you feel that water has come up till here. So it can be 2 to 3 liters of water or more for the advanced practitioners. So that is there. And then Dhoti, generally just understand what you're doing in Dhoti. You are basically sitting in the squatting position, and then you are consuming 2 to 3 liters of warm water, and then you are vomiting it out. So this is the process. How it has to be done, that has to be learned one-to-one. And the question that may come in practical, I have already said. And the dhoti, what dhoti does is, why we should do it, why we have to have so much of water and vomit it out. It basically cleanses your stomach. And so the stomach-borne diseases are relieved if you are practicing Vaman Dhoti on a regular basis. And yeah, and if your stomach is clean, it is said that 90% or more than 90% of diseases are stomach-borne. So you will be relieved, or you're taking precaution for not just the current problem but also the future problem. You will be safe from those few problems which can come in future by taking proper precaution, by cleansing your stomach on a regular basis. So yeah, that's about dhoti. Now let's move on to neti. In neti, Sutra neti and Jal neti is there. It would be best if you learn both the techniques, but as said, minimum please learn Jal neti in neti practice, because that's one thing which will be very useful to you personally, and two, it is going to be very useful if at all you are planning to become a yoga teacher and look forward to do really good in this career, in this field, because Jal neti has a lot of benefits, and I have personally taught it to so many people, and it will be useful in so many cases now, because people need it. The whole environment has become so polluted. It has become a need now. These cleansing practices have become need. So if, as said, these are rare practices. So by learning these practices, you are going to be a rare teacher. and a rare good yoga teacher will always be in demand. So yeah, Jal Neti. Now how it is to be done, basically there is a Jal Neti lota and you put water in it, and then here you add salt. How much salt is supposed to be added in one Jal Neti pot? Around 1 teaspoon of salt is to be used. Now what kind of salt is to be used? You can use any kind of salt. The point is, when you put it in water, it should be totally dissolved. You should not see the elements of salt in the water. It should be totally dissolved. If you are still like with rock salt takes a lot of time to dissolve, and still at the end you see the particles of it. So sieve it properly. At the end, if you see the particles. In one Jal Neti lota, you will put around 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, why 1 teaspoon of salt is added? What is the logic? The question comes like, why the salt is added in water and how much salt needs to be added. So the thing here is, see, we add salt because what we are doing with Jal Neti, we basically we try to clean the nasal passage, this area. So because if this area gets congested, then there will be difficulty in breathing. There can be problems like sinus and migraine, for the asthma, etc., etc. There can be allergy. So this part, the nasal area, gets cleaned with Jal Neti. With Sutra Neti, there is an additional advantage. A lot of people have deviated septum. So it's basically the outgrowth of bone and cartilage in the nasal area, because of which the respiration here becomes very difficult, because the area is not as open as in the normal case. So if you in medical science they would do surgery, but if you learn Sutra Neti at a little early age, when you are young, then that can be easily fixed. That deviated septum thing can be easily fixed through Sutra Neti. That is a plus point of Sutra Neti, which is not which does not happen in case of Jal Neti. Jal Neti helps in dissolving the blockage in the nasal passage. So basically Neti helps in cleansing this nasal passage. When we use a saline water, the idea of using saline water is to maintain the same osmotic pressure in the nasal area. Now, what is meant by this maintaining osmotic pressure? So understand this thing. Whenever two liquid come in contact with each other, two liquid which has different concentration, meaning see, in our nasal area there is a fluid, there is mucus, so there is a sort of concentrated semi-solid, not totally solid, but yeah, gel-like liquid, highly concentrated fluid in the nasal area, right? And if at all a liquid is entering in this nasal area, what will happen is, if we do not add salt, if we just do it with plain water, what will happen is the water molecule will enter the may enter the fluid that is there in our nasal area. So thereby distorting the integrity of the mucus, of the liquid which is there in the nasal area. which we do not want. We do not want to, distort the integrity or distort the composition of the fluid which is there, body fluid. We don't want to do that. We just want to cleanse the nasal area. The objective is only to cleanse. So we use salt because the body fluid, be it tears, sweat, or even mucus, they are salty. You might have tasted tears or sweat or even the nosy as a kid. So if you have ever tasted it, it is salty. And so that's why when we add salt, it should be as salty as your tear. So that when the liquid enters the nasal area, it does not distort the liquid, the body liquid, the mucus which is already present in the nasal area. We don't want to do that. It should just cleanse the passage, nasal passage. So that is the reason why we add salt. So that there is no flow of water into the nasal liquid, the nasal mucus. So yeah, that's the point of adding salt in water while practicing Jal Neti. Other than that, how much salt to be added? The salt added should be, the water should be as salty as tear, as said. Why as salty as tear? I have explained it. One more question. So how do you do Jal Neti? They will ask, and you need to answer that. And after Jal Neti, Kapalbhati is done vigorously. There are kriyas. There is Kapalbhati. Kapalbhati must be done after Jal Neti. Why? So the vigorous Kapalbhati is done after Jal Neti. The reason being, the water is not plain water, it's the saline water. And after Jal Neti, we know why the salt is added. The job of salt is done once we are done with the Jal Neti. After Jal Neti, the water which is trapped in this area, that has to be totally out. We don't want the salt particles to be there in the nasal area. That is the reason we vigorously do Kapalbhati, because Kapalbhati is forceful exhalation. All the water droplets which are there trapped in the nasal area must be out after the practice. So that, because if this salt particles remain entrapped in this area, there can be health issues, there can be problems. So we don't want that. We don't want that. We want the salty water to be totally out. That is why we vigorously do Kapalbhati after Jal Neti. So yeah, that's about Kapalbhati, Vamandoti, and Sutra Neti and Jal Neti. I'm not let me just cover Sutra Neti in a brief for people who would practice Sutra Neti as well. So in Sutra Neti, the questions may come, like to me they ask the dimension of Sutra. The dimension of Sutra is 6 inches long. What kind of Sutra? Before asking the dimension, they asked me whether I use catheter or Sutra. I use Sutra for Sutra Neti, so they asked me what kind of Sutra you use. Sutra is basically the kind of sutra that I use personally is a wax coated sutra. So half of the cotton thread will be wax coated and other half is the loose thread. There are sutra in the market which are like totally cotton threads, but I haven't used that. If at all you are using catheter, there are teachers who teach through catheter. I wouldn't recommend that. See, again, when I talk about impression on the teacher, it is always good if you are learning classical practices in the authentic manner. And originally it's always cotton sutras, wax coated cotton sutra, which has been used for Sutra Neti. So if you are learning Sutra Neti, use the cotton sutra, wax coated cotton sutra. So they asked me the dimension of Sutra Neti, and yeah, a common question which may come is, what is the benefit of Neti? So Neti is basically, as said, it cleanses this nasal area. So the sinus problem is relieved. Again, respiratory, it helps in the respiratory issues. The breathing becomes better. Respiration improves. If the respiration improves, the circulation improves. Circulation improves, digestion improves. So everything is linked here. And then it directly have an effect on sinus, migraine, asthma, dust allergy. So in all these cases, if you're suffering from these problems, you must practice Jal Neti. So yeah, I have covered all the aspects, everything that could be asked in the practicals of YCB Yoga Wellness Instructor exam, Yogic Shatkarma for the topic Yogic Shatkarma. But still, if you have any questions in mind, you can put it in the comment box and I will reply to it. If you like this video, do give me a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed it yet. And yes, if you want to learn Jal Neti and Vaman Dhoti, you can message me on Instagram or Facebook at Sapna Yoga Diary. Thank you so much. Namaste. Take care.